Okay, it's Friday the 21st of August. I'm doing the live trade where I trade minimum position size. First thing is you can see this huge fall off last night. This was due to the Chinese manufacturing news. The market has since retraced all the way back up. It opened here at 8 o'clock. You can see it actually fell off pretty much all night. It just kept falling off. Then it ranged across here. The Chinese data came out and it just collapsed. The market closed way up here. This trade is purely based on I'm expecting the market to retrace, if not all the way back up, at least up to the sort of pivot level, maybe these lows down here. So the 8 o'clock candle formed. I really wanted the market to break these highs here. As soon as it did, I clicked to enter, and yeah, my initial target is 6,330, just around about there. What I might do for this trade is I might close a certain amount of the position if it gets to there, with the expectations of it going a little bit higher. I'll see what happens and I'll turn the video back on when it gets a bit closer, or if it gets a bit closer. Okay, the market's just pushing up towards my first target. It'll probably be just around 20 points, just before 20 points. Usually what I do on a normal move is when it reached my first target, I would close 75% or 50% of my position, bring my stop to break even, and then let the rest of the position run. I can't do that on this trade because I'm doing minimum position size. The minimum I can take this down to is £2 per point. So I can only take off 33%. So it's 20 points now, I'm taking that off. Oh, it's not even letting me do that, unfortunately. Okay, I thought it would let me close out part of the position. It's not letting me do that, so I'll just let this one run then, I guess. What I do is I bring the stop to break even. I then bring in a limit order. Put it right here. Okay, it's not letting me do that either. I think this is basically because of this enormous move. The Ftse, my broker will have adjusted the minimum stop levels, minimum limit order levels and stuff. So I can't show you closing out part of the position, but that's what I would have done in a normal trade. And this is why I wouldn't trade the news. I've done it when I first began trading. I've done it a couple of times. I got stung very badly on an Australian dollar trade, and I've never done it since. This first candle here, quite often what happens with a news release is the majority of this move would happen in seconds. Although it's a 5-minute candle, it would have dropped within seconds. It's 44 points, which is a very large move for the Ftse, especially considering it's 2:45 in the morning. So that's why I don't trade the news. You'll also notice that quite a few of the trades that I do live they're not simply reversals off of the zones that I've identified. This is because quite often, well, not quite often, I'd say probably once or twice a week, I take trades off of what I guess you would call market sentiment. So just through experience, I can read the Ftse market and I know what's the high probability move that it's going to make because of what it's done the previous night or because of the way it's setting up. And if that happens, I will just trade it like that. So I'm wanting this to move up to round about 6,350. I'll probably take it just before that because with it being the number 50, it's often a place where people enter trades. You tend to find people enter it at the 50s, the 100s, you know, the round numbers. So I just jump out before then. This is a very minor level. This is the Camarilla breakout level. I've never used this for trade entry or exits. It's just purely there for confluence for me. So you can see I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zones all lining up here. Actually R1 as well, I mean 7 zones. This is a very powerful zone. But the areas that I'd be looking at, sorry, are up here. I mean, this is my key daily level, and these are my key levels. This is just to outline where the level begins. I mean, you can see the candle is reacting here, which is what I would expect, but I wouldn't expect it to turn around here. I would expect it to pop through to just before 6,350 at least, and I mean that's where I'd get out. That would be about, let's work this out, that would be about 35 points. I'd probably be happy with 30 points, to be honest. If it jumps up there, I'll just close it out. What I'll do right now is I'll pause the video, and if it pops through, I'll turn it back on. This is just a quick update. You can see the market touched the pivot level and then fell away. It fell all the way back down to 6,316. Almost stopped me out at break even. This is why I close, in a normal trade, I'd close 75% of the position or 50% of the position at my first target. Quite often this can happen, and sometimes it can just keep, it can keep falling down. There's no certainty in the market. You are dealing with probabilities. That's why I like to take some profit off the table, especially on larger moves like this. Okay, so we'll see what this does now. But you can see it's came down, almost touched the stop, and then it's pushed away again. I can't really see what it's reacted off of. So it's just been a very little pullback. Okay, so I'm expecting the Ftse to pop through now, and I would exit the trade. This is, I just want to mention something that I mentioned in previous videos where I said quite often the Ftse will take 3 runs at something, and on the 3rd run it will decide what it's going to do. So we've had 1 test here, 2 tests here. This, for me, is the 3rd test. It doesn't happen all the time, it just happens quite often. Now, if this was a pin bar again, I would exit, because I've just found through experience when the Ftse takes a 3rd run at something, that's when it decides what it's going to do. So I'm expecting this one to either break through or to turn into a rejection bar, and if it did that, I would just exit. So yeah, it's just playing around at this area. It might, quite often on the 5-minute bars, it's the last 30 seconds of price action where it really makes a move. You can see where this bar fell down here, and where this was also a pin bar. Quite often, novice traders will exit their trades as they see this happening. So they've moved up into profit here. Let me get the ruler so I can do this properly. So they've moved up all the way up here. They've had 28 points of profit, well, minus these spreads, so it's 27 points. The market has then fallen all the way down here to 11 points. It's then fallen all the way down here to 3.8. So as it's maybe falling down here, maybe about 8 points, they'll exit the position. Or if not, they'll exit after this. You can see the pin bar here. They'll exit after here, 13 points. Every trader in the world has these doubts, even people who have been trading for 10 years, 15 years. It's just natural, it's just human psychology. The only difference is when my internal talks tells me to exit. So it's telling me here, you exit, take a little bit of profit, don't let it stop you out for break even, don't waste this move, all that good stuff. The only difference is I ignore it. I'm able to ignore it, I'm able to tune it out. Or not tune it out, I still hear it, but I don't pay attention to it. The difference is a novice trader would exit. And the problem with this is if your strategy is, let's say, 70% success, and you begin to chop a lot of your trades, you chop it down for like maybe a 5-point profit here, a 3-point profit there. Those profits are part of your 70% success. So your loss, when it comes, let's say it's a 25-point stop, you get a 25-point loss, and you've had 4 or 5 trades for where you've just scalped it for 5 points, you're back to square one, and usually worse than that. It usually ends up being after that you start to revenge trade and stuff, and you end up with huge losses. So you really need to stick to your trading plan. Have reasons for entering, have reasons for exiting, never to do with your emotion. I mean, if I'd exited as this was forming, it looked very negative, but then it's turned around and it's became a a positive pin bar. So always think about that when you're trading. Never just make rash judgments, rash decisions. I've already said if this doesn't break through, I will exit. It's based on experience, it's based on proper reasoning rather than emotion. You can see it's rejecting off of this pivot point. It's pushed down into a doji. The last 30 seconds is when you tend to find out what the candle's going to do. You see it's turning quite negative. Okay, so 5 seconds left of the candle. The low is 326.7, so 325.7. If I see that over here, I just exit. You just bring up your window. You can see the Ftse's pushing up bullish again. If it does drop below the 325.7, I will exit. It's pushing down now. What I'll do is I'll pause the video. It might actually just rally right back up through now. But I've got my exit in my head now. It's fixed. If it comes back down there and touches it, I'm out. It's based off of what the market's telling me rather than my emotion. And it also allows me leeway. So I'm not just exiting right after the candle. I want it to break the low by at least a point, which would signify that as well as the pin bar, it's willing to move down. If it just rallies up, I may as well just stay in the position, take the full profit. Okay, we'll see what happens. Okay, so the market's pushing up. After this pin bar here, I'm expecting a lot of retail traders to have put their stops just above it. So if it comes up here and touches here, I'm expecting it to jump quite quickly up to the 30-point target. So this is the difference between maybe a learner trader, a beginner trader, someone who's been doing it for a long time. The only difference is I don't allow my emotions to rule my trades. I have a plan, I have experience, and I use both of them. Okay, let me just close this. So it's 30 points. Yeah, so I don't let my emotions influence me. I don't exit when the market's moving against me like this. I have my rules set before I enter the trade. I said after the third candle, the market often makes its decision. It rejected. I then said if it breaks the low of the candle by a point, I would exit. It didn't do that. I didn't panic. I wasn't bothered about it. I just watched the market. The next candle rallied up. The candle after that took me out of the trade for my 30-point profit. That's me done for the week. I actually made my weekly target yesterday. I just did this video purely for the YouTube channel with the minimum position size trade. So I hope you did have a good trading week. And as always, do subscribe to Decisive Trading if you're learning how to trade. It's free and there will be a lot more training videos to come. Okay, I'm James Orr. Thank you.